Good afternoon, guys. We are going on to part 3 of seed starting today. I thought I would just chat a little bit about the last round of seeds that I'm putting in to start, and a little bit of why I chose the selections I'm doing, what I'm doing new this year, and also a little bit about a failure. So my celery started off really strong. It sprouted right up and then it kept going. It got really leggy and then it collapsed and died about a week ago. So I went ahead and replanted and am going to try again. I made sure this time to not get too many seeds in each cell so they're not competing so much with each other. I also moved the light a little bit closer and I'm going to try and keep it lower to them until they get a little bit thicker in the stalk versus getting really tall very quickly. So we will see if that works. I also planted my tomatoes and got my broccoli, cauliflower in as well as cabbage. So with tomatoes this year, I did a ton of tomatoes last year. I had about 36 plants. Maybe it's not a lot for some people, but that is a ton for me, especially for my first year. And I made so much salsa and so much tomato sauce, and even made ketchup, that I don't really need that much this year as far as like those staples go. We're not even halfway through what we do have, so I'm gonna go ahead and back off with the tomatoes a little bit. I think I'm only doing 12 or 16 this year, depending on how many plants I get, and I'm doing a little bit more for fresh eating versus specifically for canning. The two varieties that I have grown for canning are Romas and Super Sauce. Both of them did well last year. I will be growing them again this year. I think I have 4 plants of each, and that should probably get me through for whatever I need to make, a little extra salsa, to get some really spicy salsa this year, as well as maybe some barbecue sauce. Tomato soup is something I need to remake because we are almost out. We've got 1 quart jar left in the pantry. We love tomato soup, so I'm definitely going to be making some more this year. But I think 8 full plants will be plenty for everything I need, and I would like to use that space for a couple other things new this year that I'm going to try and do. Other varieties of tomatoes I'm going to plant are 2 cherry tomato plants. I believe they are Chadwicks, and I'm going to give those a try. I think I'm going to like them more for drying. I've really enjoyed having some dried tomatoes for my salad and stuff during the winter, and just kind of munching on. I like the taste of them and they're nice. So I'm going to try and focus on putting up some dried tomatoes this year. Also tomatoes in oil, and do that because I do find them useful, and I put them into some of the stuff that I cook. And lastly, I will be having some larger beefsteak tomatoes, more for fresh eating. I love a good fresh tomato with some fresh mozzarella, some fresh basil. So good. So that's pretty much the coverage of tomatoes. I think, like I said, I have a total of 2 of the cherries, 2 of the beefsteak, and then 4 each of the Roma and Super Sauce. So that's 12 plants total, and that will probably cover me pretty well for this year as far as tomatoes go. As far as the other items I got started, I got broccoli started, both a Waltham and a Gypsy hybrid. I don't know which one's gonna do better. I think I tried both last year as a fall crop. Neither of them did really well. I don't know if it was just too hot, or I didn't put them in late enough, or I didn't start them long enough ahead of time. So I am starting them now this year and putting them into the ground in the spring and seeing how they do. And then I have not grown cauliflower before, and that is something else I will be trying new this year. I think I just got a snowball variety, generic. It's nothing special or fancy or any cool crazy color. It's just a plain old cauliflower. I'm not the hugest fan of cauliflower, but Shaver does really like cauliflower, so I'm trying to grow some fresh because I think I would enjoy it more straight from the garden versus having to go to the store. Lastly, I got some cabbage started. I am a pretty big cabbage fan when it comes to basic cabbage. I really like it cooked, and I also really like sauerkraut. I also like to do a couple fresh like salads with them, like oriental salads. There's a really good one that uses ramen noodles, which I adore and will eat by the bucketful if you let me. So I definitely have a couple of those started again last year. I think I only had 2 or 3, and I think only one of them made it. So we're gonna try something a little bit this year, hopefully to protect some of my cruciferous plants from being eaten so much from, and I think I don't know what kind of bug it is. I can't think. Oh, cabbage moths, obviously. Cabbage moths. I'm going to try something new this year to try and keep the cabbage moths away from eating all of my cruciferous plants. And just to touch base where we are as far as the garden goes, I have, I think, almost all of the beds that I want to get in this year already in. I think I'll probably do one more bed and that'll be it for this year. I have to get all of the water lines set up for all of these new beds, so I need to get on ordering all of my drip lines and tubing and joints and stuff for that, which I will maybe bring you along for that if that is something you're interested in learning how to do or just want to see what I am doing. I'll make a little video about all of that. My rainwater collection has begun and I'm very excited about it. It's raining out today and I keep poking my head out the back door looking at the water level to see how well it's doing. So I'm really excited about that. And then we have some compost hopefully coming in the next week or two. We have a friend that is catty corner from my yard that organizes getting some compost from a local horse farm that he will load a big scoop up into his truck and bring it to your yard, and then we just shovel it out and I just throw it on the beds. There are also several modifications that I'm going to be working on. I need to finish up the trellised archway as far as getting some netting up somehow to prevent the rabbits and squirrels from getting to my pea plants, which they love. And then I also have some plans to box in 2 of my boxes with some floating row cover to protect like my broccoli and cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, chard, kale, just kind of all of those plants that don't need to be pollinated, that flower on their own basically, or we eat the part that is the flower basically, to try and keep them safe from all the bugs. And that's it, guys. Just a quick little garden update to tell you where we're at before the spring craziness really begins. I find that preparing ahead of time really does help a lot with keeping everything manageable, especially when you work full-time like I do. I have limited time on the weekends and at night to really work on the garden, so I try to do little bits of it as much as I can during these slower months. So if you have any questions or comments or suggestions about how to get some really awesome plants this year, please let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.